Hello and welcome to the Pawn Pro podcast. I am here with Nathan and he's from Daily Pawn in Fort Collins. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Tally. I'm doing great. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Let's just kick things off with talking about how you got started in the industry.
Sure. I think it starts all the way back when I was garage sailing with my grandma.
Mm.
Because I was always looking for a deal. She would give me $1. We'd go out on Saturday all day, and I just loved the hunt for whatever toy that I was wanting. So then, fast forward to high school, if you wanted to work, you could actually get some high school credit for working. And so I
Yeah.
was like, I think it'd be fun to work in a pawn shop. So I applied and I got the job. And so I was working part time my senior year. And then I never really quit. I worked all the way through my college career at CSU. I thought maybe when I graduated college that I would want to be an accountant somewhere. And the manager was quitting. She's like, well, I'll promote you up to my spot if you want it. And I said, I would love to. And so worked for a pawn shop for about 13 years and loved every minute of it. They taught me so much. But when they sold out to another company, freed my family enough to start our own. So we did. So it'll be 12 years this summer that we've owned a pawn shop. We expanded to a second shop in 2021, right at the end of the pandemic, which was kind of weird, kind of interesting time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we're at. So I do it with my brother, my wife, and my parents, and it's been great.
Congratulations on 12 years. That's
Thank you.
awesome. We're somewhere in that realm too. I just saw in our HR program that we use that I'm 15 years at Bravo next month, which is wild, but it's awesome.
Time's a funny
What
thing.
was what was the coolest thing you ever bought with $1 that you found?
Oh, that's a good. I'm sure it was something Nintendo. I am a Nintendo fanboy through and through, so I'm sure it was a video game that I was looking for. Because even though it probably was worth more than that, I was able to pick it up on the cheap.
Yeah, you were a cute little boy. They were like, "Yeah, you can have it for $1." That's awesome. Tell me what it's like working in the family biz, kind of all together. It sounds like you guys have a tight family, and what's that like?
We do, yeah. It's for everything good, there's also the downs, right? So it's like I trust my family implicitly. We honor each other, we respect each other,
Yep.
but we still butt heads.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of things you have to go through, but you can't trust anyone more than you can your own family, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
it's a good sounding board. My wife came on last few years. She does our online sales, so she's rocking it with that. My brother, it's like he has strengths, I have strengths, and we just trying to lean into those. And my parents are just there for the ride.
Yeah. Do they come
They
in
they
and
love
work
to just
still?
support us.
Do they come in? Do they like work the
Yeah.
counter? Yeah.
Well, my dad threatened that he was going to be our greeter. He's like, I'm just going to come. I said, absolutely, Dad, just come on. That's your strength, is talking to people. Just go out there and talk to them. They come in, they'll bring the staff donuts and stuff from time to time, just check in on things. So,
That's
but
nice.
fortunately, they don't have to unless they just want to. So that's what they do.
That's awesome. And do you and your brother kind of split locations, or do you guys work interchangeably at both?
We have really taken a step back last couple of years, not trying to be working in the business so we can work on the business.
Yes.
And so that means we're anywhere we need to be. So we split our time between the two. Definitely on Mondays, we work together. We kind of plan our week. What are we doing? We're working on projects. We're doing audits. Is there age inventory we need to tackle? And then setting up trainings for the staff, following up. So, I thought I'd be less busy, but somehow I'm more busy. I don't understand that. But we just go where we needed to, and we tell the staff to. It's like I still enjoy working in the stores. So if I have to cover a shift, I'll cover a shift.
Yeah.
I'm not the boss anymore. I try to make the manager still be the boss. I'm
Yeah.
just there to help out. So
That's really awesome. I like that kind of framework for coming in at the beginning of the week and figuring out, it sounds like you're working in the business, on the business, but like prioritizing where you need to spend your time. And I think that that's really, really smart. And I've never heard anybody do that before, which seems kind of intuitive, but maybe it's not as intuitive.
maybe not. You have to work hard at it. It's like, oh, we know what needs to get done. And it's like, yeah, you do. But the things that you don't want to get done, or maybe they're not as important, keep getting pushed back further and further. So you really have to prioritize. So our big priority this year is aged inventory that I just looked at the number. I said, what are we doing? We're throwing all this money in this stuff that's been here a year, year and a half,
Yeah.
even 9 months is too long. So that's really been our focus, is like, how do we help the staff get a handle on the aged inventory? Because, nobody wants to look at the same thing for a year. They want the new stuff.
Totally. So what are a few things that you're trying to do both with your staff and just to tackle the aged inventory?
So someone smarter than me said run a 333 report. That's basically anything that's about to be a year old, so 365 is a year, and you want to identify every single one of those items, and you want to have that gone before it hits its birthday. So we print it off, we create sections in the store, we'll clearance stamp them, we'll mark them down, we'll make sure, like, why has it sat here so long? Is it priced wrong? Is it merchandised wrong? Is it in the wrong spot? Is it tag dirty? Is it missing things? Does it say something that's not the right thing on the tag? So you just basically, grab it, look at it, readjust, put the new price on it, and clearly mark it. Like, this is a great sale. This is our clearance sales section right here. Come get the best deals right here.
That's wonderful. And another thing that you mentioned that I think that a lot of people maybe don't put a ton of time into is training your team.
Yes.
So you mentioned that can be on like the Monday calendar. What does that look like for you?
So there's levels of training. So there's like a daily text, which is kind of training that I send to the managers every single day, and I set those a week in advance. But then we have more formal trainings where it's the entire staff, both stores, where we set up 2 different sessions so they can go to one, they can go to both if they want. And that we have what we call a lead manager. He kind of helps run those too. So our next one is going to be some annual trainings that we have to do, which would be like AML training, some sexual harassment training.
Yep.
And then his idea, our Cameron, our lead manager, was why don't we do like a fake versus real like lineup? And so we'll do some training on that, and then we'll kind of line it up and be like, all right, these is this Louis Vuitton bag real or is it fake? And we'll have a couple there for them to choose from. Same as shoes, and we have all the ability to to test them, to authenticate them.
Yep.
But it also helps when you just have a discerning eye. Like, why is this fake? Why did they kick this back? And so we just want to train the staff on that as well. So yeah, that's on the docket this time.
How many people do you have working at each store?
It's 20 people total right now.
Okay.
So it's like 11 in one and 9 at the other. One's a
Okay.
little busier than the other one.
Okay, awesome. What's one of the biggest challenges that you've faced, I guess, in the last 12 months?
I'm sure other pawnbrokers have said this. Cash flow. I mean, that comes back to the aged inventory, why we want to free up some of the inventory back into cash. So it's always concerned. It's like, oh my goodness, pawn balance is going crazy. So it's like, making sure we have enough cash at all times. Scrapping, gold's helped, so we can scrap a little more. I used to say staffing, but I feel like staffing is actually freed up a little bit. There's a better choice of people out there. So that I would say more than 12 months ago, that was the issue. But right now, it's just maintaining what we have and the steady growth, which is, I don't complain about growth because that's what we all want. So just kind of managing that.
Yeah, totally. I also agree about hiring. Like, I feel like even for us, growing and scaling has been, in the last 6 months, I would say the candidate pool is really, really good, which is awesome for the right time of needing to hire people. What's your hiring process like?
You're pretty traditional, I would say. We're putting out where we do Indeed, all the online places. We get them in. We just want to have a conversation. I don't like having a set list of things that I have to ask them. I want them to tell me about them, to get an insight into who they are, because it has to work both ways. It has to, the job has to make sense for them, something they want to do, and then they have to gel personality-wise. So, I'm looking for, I think the 3 things I always want is, hardworking, willing to learn, and honest with me. So it's just like, if something's setting off my radar, where it's just like, they're just not being honest with me with these answers. They're just giving me the answers that I want, that think I want to hear. So that's what we do. And then, we have a training process. We have a probationary period, so it's pretty obvious, right at the beginning if it's going to work out or not. And I think we have pretty good luck. We usually interview them, once or twice. The manager will do it once, and then if he wants to hire him, then they'll come back, and my brother and I will interview him a second time, and then we're off to the races.
I like those 3 kind of criteria. So it's willing to learn, honest, and hardworking.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, those are wonderful, easy to remember, I think. I think that people that are hiring should have like a criteria so that um, it's consistent, and then also it's just an easy gut check,
Yeah.
and it's not like a checklist of like a million things. So I think those are really awesome and super relevant, obviously, for the pawn industry. Um, so would you say cash flow is kind of the biggest trend, I guess, that you're seeing in the pawn industry as far as like challenge?
Yeah, that is a big challenge. The
Yeah.
other one I see, which is I don't like it, is that you just have a lot more people coming in where I just don't know if it's their stuff. And it's just
Mm,
like, I think as industry wide with the pawn industry, we have to be much more discerning on the items we're taking in, who they're from, how we're asking the questions. Because I think it's okay to turn away people if they just are not giving you answers that where it's like, because I do not want to be known at the pawn shop that you can take your stolen stuff to,
right.
or it's, less than their own, totally owned by them. So that's a concern for me as of recently, is that just, are we putting the things in practice that are allowing us to be successful in turning away the people? Because it's like, oh wow, I can get such a good deal, I can make so much money on this. It's like, that's very short-sighted. We need to
Yeah.
be thinking long-term as an industry. Is like, any press that paints us in a negative light, whether it's true or not, is going to hurt us. So we just have to stay away from it. We just have to say, nope, we don't even touch that stuff. Just go somewhere else, because
Yeah.
we're not mess with it.
Yeah, I haven't heard that recently as something to watch for, besides just the obvious, like you don't want to take in stolen merchandise. Um, what are
I,
some of the questions? Like, how do you discern? How do you help train your employees to discern for people that are watching that maybe aren't doing that?
we call it conversational interrogation.
Mm-hmm.
So we're asking them tough questions, but in a nice way.
Mm-hmm.
And ideally, we know all the answers to the questions. Like, hey, what is this? How does this work? Where'd you get it from? And if they can answer them all, it's 1, 2, 3, they can get all those answers going. That gives us a lot of confidence that it's theirs.
Yeah.
So, we're asking them, how much they want, they want to sell it, do they want to just pawn on it, have they had it in before, what's their customer history? We note our customers like crazy, because I've had it before where someone, essentially I will say duped us, where it's like answered all the questions correctly. It's like, yep, it's for my construction business, I ordered too many, I just don't need it right now, ended up coming up stolen. And it's just like, he answered all the questions correctly, but we noted them and said, hey, brought in a brand new such and such, be careful next time. And so
Yeah.
then that way, if the cops do show up and have questions about it, you've minimized it. It's like, well, yeah, we did. We took in one, but we realized pretty quickly that this was,
Yeah.
something was going on, so we said no. So yeah, we just train it's a benefit for everyone, because
Yeah.
the good customers are the vast majority of them, and they don't want to be associated with a pawn shop that's dealing with stolen stuff either. So they want to know that we're doing the best we can. So when we ask these questions, it doesn't upset them, because it's their stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, no one should get upset at me asking where'd you get this from if it's your stuff.
Totally. Yeah, you don't have to be defensive if it's if you got it legitimately. So you mentioned that you take handbags, you take shoes. Any other new categories that you're taking or interested in?
I mean, I never limit the stuff that I take in. I didn't know I took Jordans until someone brought some in. And I was like, oh, I guess I take Jordans now, because they sold right away. So I don't know. I mean, there's some things I don't want anymore. Just flat out broken stuff I don't want.
Yeah.
But I mean, the market's ever changing, so I don't limit myself to what I can take in. I will say, because gold is up so high, I am looking to take in as much gold as I possibly can, because it is a quick way for our customers to get the money they need.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm open to any way. I just tell the customer, you teach me about the item. You're the expert. You tell me, how can I find the value in this so I can give you the money you need.
That's wonderful. Do you I usually see you at NPA, right?
Hmm.
Do you
Oh yeah.
go to that trade show? Are you going this year?
Yes, and actually, you might be speaking. I am speaking at MPA this year.
Cool. And what are you talking about there?
Kind of what I was alluding to earlier. It's basically training the trainers. So I'm gonna go and teach pawnbrokers how to interact with their police departments. So like either going and sitting in a seminar and training them, or at least training the beat cops or whatever that come in to ask about stuff that's want to know if it's stolen or put on police hold or whatever.
Yeah.
Explaining our rights as a pawn shop. And how to advocate for themselves, and that we're ultimately on the same side as the police, that we all want the same thing, that
Yeah.
the police and us, we want the victim recognized, which is us, as well as the person that got it stolen. We also want the perpetrator, the person that brought in the stolen, we want them caught and charged and to the fullest extent of the law, and that would be both criminal, theft charges as well as false information to a pawnbroker, which is what we can do in Colorado. And we want it in a timely manner. We want the item to get back to that victim as soon as we can. We don't want to just sit in evidence forever. We want the cops to file the charges quickly, run it through the courts, get it back to the person.
That's awesome. That sounds like a really, really great conversation and discussion. And I've never seen that on the agenda before.
Yeah, I was told maybe in 2010 that maybe somebody talked about it or something. So
Okay.
my
It's
friend
been a
Steve
while.
Adsett is going to help me too. He is, I don't know if you know who he is, but he
Yeah,
has
I do.
so much knowledge in the
Yeah.
pawn industry. He's awesome. So him and I hopefully will rock it out.
That's awesome. For somebody that's brand new in the business, what is one important piece of advice that you would give to somebody that's maybe just starting in the industry?
Listen to your customers. They will teach you everything. Like if you come in and you're just like, I just don't know about XYZ. I don't know about Louis Vuitton purses. Well, one comes in, ask them, explain to me what this is. Have them explain to you everything about it. It's like I didn't really know firearms at all when I started. But, I just said, what is this? What does that mean when it says double action? I don't even know what that means. And they would explain, because people love talking about their stuff. So just listen to the customers. You can do all the research you want yourself, and you need to do that too. But the customers are the experts. Just listen to them.
We try to implement that at Bravo as well. Like if you just listen and if you listen to understand, you'll learn everything that you need to be able to provide a solution. Like you've got to know all of the context and get all of the details before you try to solve something. So I think probably in any industry with any type of customer, that's probably great, amazing advice. So I want to talk a little bit more about your team and how you've built it, because it sounds really impressive. How would you describe maybe your leadership style? You mentioned your brother has a different leadership style, maybe. Like what's that like?
I would say as far as leading the staff, we're probably pretty much in line with that. It's like I said, if you're hardworking and you're willing to learn, it's like I can forgive pretty much anything. It's like if someone makes a mistake, that is fine. I want them to learn from it. I want them to understand what they did so we can move forward. So I guess my mantra is just let's train, let's keep training, let's talk about it, let's see what's working, what's not working. Communication, keep that open between everyone. We have a text group between the two stores because we'll have customers that don't like our price or upset at something or that, and we'll just let them, hey, just so you know, this person might be coming down to the other store. This is what we said so far. Not to say that we couldn't help them at the other store, because sometimes just a change of scenery is all they need. But at least they have a background on what happened.
Totally.
That way we're consistent between the two stores.
That's smart.
We'll have manager meetings. There's a manager and assistant manager at each store. So 4 of us plus my brother and I. So 6 of us will sit down from time to time and just go over, what's working, what's not, what's our plan, what's on their mind. Because, I've been doing this a long time, but I can learn so much just by they're on the ground every single day, listening to the customers. Things change. So they need to let us know so that way we can implement something that makes sense for both stores. So that's what I'd say. It's communication. It's consistent training. It's a consistent message. We have the managers every single morning do it's like a morning brief. It's like, what's important today? What are we doing today? We're doing the Valentine's Day sale, so make sure we're pushing that every time someone calls, someone comes in the store. Whatever's on the agenda, and then it's like these counters are a little messy. Make sure we're getting those counters cleared. So it's it's gonna whatever's on our mind, that way kind of refocuses the staff every morning.
I love that. How would you say you and your managers and your assistant managers foster like a productive or a positive work environment for the rest of your team?
I guess it would be compliment sandwich. It's like, hey, that you're doing this great. Hey, can you also do this next time? Thanks for doing that. It's like, but I really appreciate all your hard work. Really recognizing people when they are doing something. It's like sometimes you get at that counter and you're slammed, and it's just like, I know, employee, X couldn't even get on the sales floor to make any sales because we give commission on sales because they were just behind the counter for an hour. But recognizing like, hey, you were able to get through all those customers. We really appreciate that. It's just like, that was able to make things much more smooth. And the managers don't get commissions. Sometimes if they get a sale during that time, then maybe they'll send it over to them. So that way they get a little bit of extra credit for working so hard on the counter. So it's just recognizing good work. We also run productivity reports monthly and quarterly. And so reviewing those, letting people know, it's like, hey, you're number one in sales. Like, whatever you're doing, keep it up, keep going, and it's just, but we also recognize the other side. Pawns are the most important, honestly, even more than sales.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you're number one productivity in sales, or you're number two this month. It's like, that's awesome. That's a big improvement from last month where you were number 4. So keeping them motivated that way. Also, you just have to realize everyone gets motivated by something different.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's throwing a cash prize or a gas card or something at someone. It could be, if you reach the sales goal, we can have a pizza party. It could be, we also have stretch goals. So it's just like that in and of itself. As they make their sales goal stretch goal, they even get more bonus. So some of those are built in for different people.
I love that. One of the things that I do every time, when we hire new classes, I talk with each class and sort of about our goals and kind of a similar, just here's to bring you up to speed. Here's like where we've been and where we are and where we're trying to go kind of thing before they meet all of the different department heads. But one thing that I always ask is like, how do you like to be recognized? And it's crazy the spectrum of people, of ways that people like to be recognized, from like, I want to be employee of the month and I want it on social and I want everybody to know, to like, I just want a colleague to like send me a Slack that says like, hey, you did a good job. And it's from all levels. It's like some people just want to hear it from their peer that they're doing a good job. Some people want to hear it from, my mouth in a company-wide meeting. And we take note of all of those because if you can, I think, fill people's cups in whatever way they like to be recognized, like they continue to obviously be positive and productive within their department. So I think that's awesome. And, we try to do fun spiffs and different kinds of like bonuses so that you can kind of pique everybody's interest in a different way. I think
that's
really
exactly
awesome.
right.
Yeah.
The thing about humans is we're all different, so we just have to do our best, figure out what we can do and, react to what works and what doesn't and keep moving.
Totally. So I know we before spoke about NPA and when I saw your shirt, I immediately was like, oh yeah, I see you every year at NPA. I remember.
My wife says I always have to wear it. She's like, never it's free advertising. Just wear the shirt.
Yeah, it is. And like the color is super memorable. What would you say about like conventions and associations, being a part of them, going annually? Like, what are your takeaways?
So 100% you got to go. You have to be part of, if you have a state association, which unfortunately Colorado doesn't right now, we do, but it's not super organized. Basically it's Steve and I that run it. But it definitely have to do your national one. You got to go to the conventions, you got to go to any regional convention you have. The first 5 or so conventions I went to, it was information overload. I learned so unbelievably much that like I was just notes after notes after notes. And I would say now it's like I still write tons of notes, but it's all about the people. Like, I always get something out of every seminar I go to. That's not it. But it's the talking to the other pawnbrokers, where you're just like, it's that one little thing of like, oh yeah, I guess I should start collecting emails from customers because I could send out a mailer, an email list, which is what I started doing. So it's just something, one little thing you can take back. And if you don't get out of your store, sometimes you're going to get stuck in that rut. You're going to have these thoughts of like, oh, I've figured it all out. I've got everything. It's like, I know my market better than anyone else. I don't need to go to those things. It's a waste of money. But it's actually the opposite. It's such a either money saver or money earner because, like I said, the one thing that you take from that can just pay dividends all year long. I also do the pawnbroker peer groups where we meet once a month. We do a Zoom. We just had ours yesterday. Totally invaluable. That's just like a mini NPA Expo every single time. So you have to do those. And if you don't have a state association, get one. I think Lisa Little did one on how she started hers. And it's like, you can do it. It takes some work. It takes a couple pawnbrokers, and you got to start putting one together, which is what the process that we're in right now in Colorado.
That's awesome. So if you're in Colorado, how do
Yeah, hit me
people
up.
join your
Yes,
association? They just reach out to you.
reach out to me.
Okay. That sounds awesome. What are you, I guess to wrap things up, what are you looking most forward to in 2025?
Um, more of the same, I guess. I really love my job, so I
Yeah.
want it to just keep growing and doing better. Um, I'm interested to see where gold goes, if it goes above 3,000 or
Yeah.
not. um, I'm excited for some of the things Bravo's coming up with, like
Yeah.
some of the interactions, like with the mobile pawn apps and stuff, because customers love it. That's the absolute number one thing that I love about Bravo, and Bravo's a great system overall. But man, that mobile pawn, if anyone's ever thinking about joining Bravo or switching over to Bravo, the mobile pawn is 100% worth it. I mean,
Totally.
just it's ease of use for the customers. You can chat. I love chatting back and forth, letting people know your stuff's safe. Don't worry about it, even though it's 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
your
I
stuff's
know, I think it
fine.
really
So.
makes a difference for customers to be able to have that open line of communication. We had our all hands on product yesterday, and we saw some really cool new stuff with Mobile Pawn, and we actually are standing up a new department that's direct to consumer. So really putting a lot of more effort into Mobile Pawn. It's already like, I think we've all seen like the impact of it and how incredible it is for stores using it. But this is the first year where we've like broken out kind of a team just to focus on it, think about product and ways to expand the experience for users and ways to improve user interface and introduce AI and some really cool stuff. So more on that, but
Good.
yeah, I'm excited too. And one of the other things that we have coming in Mobile Pawn and by and company branded and in store is promotions and coupon codes and really being able to push like a discount code to be able to use in all of the different channels. So
I
that
think that
is,
came up in the customer advisory board, and
yeah, yeah,
I'm excited for some of
yeah,
these updates coming in the next couple quarters.
yeah. And so I think customer advisory board, we just set the next meeting is for next month. So we'll
Yep.
see you there.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. Have an awesome day.
Thanks, Tally. Bye.
Bye.